Hey everybody, Coach Eric Orton here in the training garage. Got my climbing wall in the background, so that's what you're going to be staring at for the next few minutes. Decided to come indoors today. It's still negative digits and it's a little past 12 o'clock, so got a easy recovery run in this afternoon around the hood, and going to bring it inside today for this episode and talk about shoes. I've been wanting for a while to kind of talk about my go-to shoes, what I used in 2018 for a couple reasons. One, just to kind of maybe start the conversation of what shoe is best for you. Everybody's a little different, everybody's needs are a little different, but also then dive into how my philosophy in training, run form, run strength goes into how I select shoes and it worked for me. So piggybacking off of that, for those of you who don't know much about my training philosophy, I place a high emphasis on foot strength and form, and they actually become two big chapters in my book. And for the last 25 years, I've really been kind of diving heavily into how to strengthen the feet, how the feet affect how we use our body and how we use our muscles as runners, good or bad, and how that affects our strength and how that affects our form, and ultimately how that affects the shoes we use, good or bad. So with that, I also want to talk about the type of running I have here in Jackson Hole. And we have distinct 4 different seasons. Right now it's January, so I'll start there. From December through January through February and March, all of my running for the most part is done on hard packed snow. Whether I'm on road, trail, for the most part, it's always on hard packed snow. We'll get some thaw here and there where I'll be on the road and it's dry, but for the most part, again, I am running on soft snow that's been hard packed, pushed down, and formed a trail, whether it's on road or on the actual trail. Therefore, during this time, I am using trail shoes. I do not use road shoes during the winter. Come spring, usually later March, early April, things start to thaw out and it gets warmer. Things start to, on the roads, dry out, and I'm doing more road running through kind of March, April, maybe first part of May. And that's when I'm getting to the track. So during those short spring months that we get, those are the periods of time when I'm doing most of my road running, because the trails are still kind of just real junky with junk snow and not good for running. And obviously the high peaks, you just can't run on them yet. So that kind of happens through May. Once May 1 hits, all the local in-town trails start to open because of the wildlife closures. So I'm able to get on the trails up to about 8,500 feet. And those trails range from dry, flat, real smooth type of terrain, very hilly, to very technical. And that then carries into the summer as the snow begins to melt higher and higher. I am able to get higher and higher throughout the summer months and through October. So kind of through really July through October, I am in the high peaks for a lot of my longer runs, a lot of vertical, a lot of anywhere from, again, smooth trail to very rocky, some off trail scrambling. So really, if you can picture any type of mountain terrain, like I said, a lot of vertical. I average about 300 to 400,000 feet of vertical gain each year. So again, just a lot of gain. With that, what we don't typically have is a lot of mud. We get mud season, but I'm usually on the road then. So for you people in the upper Northwest, where it gets a lot of rain, or in the UK where you just get a lot of boggy, a lot of mud, we don't really get that. We're pretty dry climate, and once summer hits and once the trails do open, they're very dry for the most part. So just use that for your own experience as I get into what I'm using in 2008. So the reason why I'm doing 2008 is I'm hoping that hey, maybe you like some of the shoes I've been using and you can find them on discount, or it helps you to think about maybe what shoes appropriate for you, to start looking for your 2009 shoes. And maybe even more importantly, just start a conversation that, again, kind of helps you decide what shoe is best for you. I have on my website, runningwitheric.com, a lot of communication going on about different types of shoes and what's best for this, what's best for that distance, blah, 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 blah. So I just wanted to maybe start a conversation. So here we go. So my go-to trail shoes for 2018 are the Salomon S Lab Sense. And these are the Sense 6. And this is the Ultra Sense 6. This is the Ultra Sense 6 SG, or what they call the soft ground. And the difference between the two is you get a little bit higher, luggier outsole with the soft ground. With the normal, just Ultra Sense 6, it's the lugs aren't as luggy, and so again, it's more for hard ground. So this is kind of they don't call it the hard ground, but this is in this industry, it's kind of, this is the hard ground shoe and this is the soft ground shoe. So these have been my go-to shoes for 2018 and for a few years now. And here's why. One, first and foremost, the fit. And let me dive into a little bit about fit and how that pertains to me. I have a very narrow foot. Let's see if I can do this. Very narrow, but I think what's key is, you see I have a very steep angle with my toes. They don't kind of come across and down, so it's very steep. So I have a hard time with wide shoe boxes. I get a lot of extra wasted part of the shoe that just is sloppy on me. So I found that the Sense Lab, or the S Lab Sense, fit me extremely well. They're just a good combination of wide enough foot box for me, with a secure fit. And they have this kind of a sock-like liner that just grips your feet. Once you're dialed in, once you got secure in there, there's no fit I found better than the S Lab Sense. And so with that, this is a 4mm drop, super light. I'll let you look up the stats. And what you can see though is that I'm starting to get a little wear. So with anything light, with anything grippy, tremendously good grip. The outsole is very, very grippy for rock, anything on a trail. But the downside of light and fast and grippy is it's going to wear quickly. So simply with the hard ground here, I'm using this all summer long. All of my kind of non-technical fast track trails. And as I wear out my lugs, this now becomes my road shoe for this year. This is my track shoe, okay? And it's light enough for track, it's light enough for the road, it's cushioned enough for the road. So that's how I transition. This eventually becomes my road shoe. And whereas the soft ground, okay, so now again, we got a little bit more lugs, again, a little bit more aggressive. So for those who, again, it's made for a little bit more mud and a little bit more soft ground, but I found that it's great for alpine running. And again, the fit's the same, so it just fits like a glove. It's an experience, I'll put it that way. There's no other shoe that fits like this. And I've tried pretty much every shoe line, the shoe manufacturer. So it's just an unbelievable fit. And so I'm using the soft ground on high alpine, long days. I found that with the 4mm drop, but what's I think also unique about both of these shoes is that you've got the fit, you've got amazing rock protection. You got a little profile film rock protection that runs in between the outsole and the midsole. And with this being a 4mm drop, most people would consider this a minimal shoe. But with the amazing rock protection, I can use this for all day running. And not everybody will, not everybody can. Well, that comes back to the foot strength. You can train yourself to be able to run in a shoe like this. But again, I feel where these shoes separate themselves from every other shoe I've tried is that you have the best of all worlds. Okay, you've got lightweight, you've got amazing fit, you've got amazing rock protection in a low profile shoe. You have some comfort and cushion. I don't like a lot, but this for a low profile shoe, this is quite forgiving ride, but also a very responsive and very fast ride. So you just literally spring off of the shoe. So I feel it's the best of all worlds for me. Again, I can run all day in these shoes where not everybody can. It's meant more for fast and shorter races. But I've built up my shoe or my foot strength and my form to where I'm able to use these all day long. And the negatives are that for some, hey, it might be a narrow fit. Again, super wide feet might not like this as much. But again, I would consider this a fairly neutral to wide toe box that's sloped enough for my feet. And so with that, the other negatives, some people think are the price. Okay, so just like anything nowadays, you're getting a high quality shoe. It's a great upper. The quality they put into this is amazing. And so with that, you're going to pay for it. You know, these are $180 US, but you know that's really kind of just your choice of. I would prefer a higher quality, a higher performing shoe that might not last quite as long, and pay for it than sacrifice weight, sacrifice performance in a shoe that's maybe $40 less. But here's how I use it again. So again, this becomes a road shoe. So now it becomes a second repurposed, as they say. And as this lug becomes worn, this shoe becomes this trail shoe. Okay, and then I start rotating in the newer version, which is the Sense 7 for 2019. So that's how I use them. A wonderful shoe, and hopefully you can find some on discount to give them a try, because it's worth the try. I feel it's worth the money, but that's just me. We're all different. So all right. So with that, I have some other shoes that I've been using for the last year or two that are wonderful shoes that, for maybe one reason or another, work better for you than these, okay? And I'm going to tell you why they work well for me and parts why they're not my go-to shoe. All right, so here goes. So first up is the Dynafit Vertical Pro. And you can see this has a quick lace like the Salomon. Again, I didn't mention this on the Salomon, but the quick lace is just something you get used to. I've learned to actually really like it, whereas when I first started, I almost took them out to put in regular laces, but now I absolutely love it. And it's just something I get used to. It's just like anything. The more we do it, the more we get used to it, and it's become something we love. So, but it is something different than the normal laces. So, the Dynafit Vertical Pro. Oddly enough, this is how they are sold. Okay, I kind of like it. They do that same thing. Dynafit is a ski manufacturer, so they do the same thing, multicolored skis. So I kind of dig it. It's not for everybody, but I like it. So so here's the deal. Dynafit Vertical Pro, my favorite shoe ever. I know the Salomon are my go-tos, but these are an amazing shoe. The outsole, best outsole ever. It's good for everything. Mud, really, every type of situation on trail. It even feels good on the road. And again, it'll just wear down quicker. But this is just an amazing, amazing tread pattern. Very sticky. It's Vibram. So again, if you're used to having Vibram in other shoes, you know how sticky it is. I found that as sticky and amazing as a rubber outsole this is, it doesn't wear as quickly as some other outsoles. So take that for what it's worth. You know, just an amazing shoe. And the upper, just really well made. It's a little bit of a rocker. It's flat, but you can see it's a little rockered. So I found that the purpose of this shoe, let me back up. The purpose of Dynafit this was an uphill, vertical, lightweight shoe. This is just a little bit heavier than the Salomon, but still very, very lightweight. And their niche for this shoe was for high-level, vertical, sky running type of racing, where you're going uphill. And that's where you kind of get some of this rockered action, because you're going up a vertical grade. I found that allows me to use this shoe for very, very long runs. This is also a 4 mil drop, similar to the Salomon, and great midsole cushioning. So again, this is a shoe that I can run in all day, even though it's low profile, because just like the Salomon, I feel it has a perfect blend of rock protection, flexibility. Okay, it works naturally, just like the Salomon. Very, very springy, very responsive, very fast, and just enough cushioning and just enough profile to either make this a short and fast shoe or a long and shoe it's still lightweight. And that's what I really look for. Something that I can go long in, but that's lightweight, not clunky. And this is an amazing, amazing shoe. Okay, Eric, why isn't it my go-to shoe? Okay, first off, you can see how I've had to kind of pull in the laces a little bit. I mentioned earlier, I have a narrow foot, and I'm gonna see if I can explain this well. In my Salomons, I run a size 45 1/3, which is an 11 US. So the 45 1/3 is the European sizing, and the equivalent of 45 is an 11 in the Salomon. So I'm an 11 in these, okay? I had to go up to a 12 in this, which is a 46 European, and it's too big for me. It's too long, okay? Just by a half a size. And here's the kicker, is that from the Dynafit sizing goes from a 11 and a half to 12 US. So I could get an 11 and a half, but it's too short. I have to go to a 12 because the 11 and a half isn't long enough, and the 12 is too long. And where this gets funky is in the US sizing, that's a half a size, but in the Europe size, it's a full size. So I'm going from a 45 to a 46. So in their tooling and in their molds, they've skipped a half a size. So therefore, long story short, I had to size up a whole size just for the shoe not to be too small, and therefore it's too big. I hope that makes sense. So I would recommend that you look for this shoe on discount if you're normally a full size and a half. So example, I'm normally an 11. I had to size up for a 12. If you're an 11 or a 10 or a 9, I would not recommend you look for this shoe. If you're a 9 and a half, and if you're a 10 and a half, or you're 11 and a half, I would recommend you half size up and look for this shoe. You probably will be able to find it on discount somewhere if you really dive deep. It's worth trying it out. And I think it was right around $130 US retail. So kind of where some of the higher you know, kind of where shoes are going nowadays, but not in line with the higher end Salomon. So again, it's my favorite shoe ever, aside from that it just doesn't fit me. However, since it is long, since it is a little bit wide, I do use this on long runs that are slow, and I don't have to be agile and I don't have to be running fast, where it's just super long and just out on my feet, where my feet might swell a little bit, or I don't mind the little bit of movement that I get in the upper that I don't tend to like. So that's when I use this shoe. The other negative, they're discontinuing this shoe. So again, search it out. I know you'll be able to find it somewhere. The Dynafit Vertical Pro or the Dynafit Vertical. There's two. This is the upgraded version of the Vertical. So you're going to see two. The other one's just a little less expensive, but I've had both, and you really can't tell a difference. One's just a little bit lighter than the other. And so one other negative, again, so they're discontinuing this shoe for 2019. The new shoe will be called the Vertical Up Pro, and it looks completely different, but I'm anxious to use it. So, all right, so there's the Dynafit. Check them out. Also, this right now is the only shoe that I would recommend from Dynafit. The other shoes are completely different, and I've tried a few, and I'm not sold yet. So. So again, check them out. Hopefully you can find them and they work for you. It would be worth your effort. All right, what's next? Okay. The Scarpa Spin. And now we've gone back to traditional laces. Similar fit system and similar integrated tongue that of the Salomon. Therefore, these fit very similar to the Salomon, and which is why I like them. The fit's really great. The construction's really great. The Vibram soles are really great. Again, these fit, I would say, so similar to the Salomon that if you're not wanting to spend the money on the Salomon, this is definitely a shoe I would recommend. And so again, just really well made. You know, the European design, attention to detail is just top notch. You know, with the Salomon as well. So it's just really top notch, and they really are dialed into the alpine trail running scene and really what's working well. So again, first and foremost, the fit real similar to the Salomon. It's a really kind of a shoe that's super similar to the Salomon sense that we talked about at the beginning. So what makes this not my go-to shoe is that, again, you've got rock protection openings similar to the Salomon, and I feel like the rock protection's pretty good, not on par with the Salomon. But what you can see is the difference here is that we have these little openings, which is the save weight. Salomon used to do it with this one, but they've closed it back up. Salomon's sense used to look like this bottom with these opened, exposed rock plate areas. They've since closed them down. And I think, so with the Scarpa, I found that I feel I just lose a little bit of protection, even though exposing the rock plate. I feel a little bit, it's just a harsher ride. But maybe more importantly, through time, through longer running, I found that if my hands are the bottom of the shoe, it starts to do this on me, and it's almost like I'm running in a rut, and I get a lot of kind of just uncomfortable feelings in the side of my feet. But again, that's, you know, long trail runs. Short, these would be great, you know, and, you know, shorts relative to everybody. But that's how I would use this shoe is short, maybe under 2 hours, nice and fast, where, you know, through time, you're not going to get the problems I just talked about. And so again, why, you can see I've used it quite a bit, and I like it. But it's just, for me, it's just so similar to the Salomons that I always kind of pull this out, because I'm actually, these are lighter than these, and I eliminate the rock protection issues that with these. So how I would recommend maybe you look at these again, if you're just not looking to spend as much with the Salomon, and maybe you're looking for a light and fast, shorter shoe that, you know, to complement, you know, a shoe that you're using for super long runs. So again, excellently made, and just an excellent shoe, and Spin's other shoes I haven't experimented with. But again, 4mm drop, I think I forgot to mention that. So all these are 4mm drop up to this point. So again, Scarpa Spin, and you can still, these are still, will be available for 2019. So check them out. All right, so then the last one is the Salomon S Lab Ultra, or what most people are calling the Ultra 2. And this is an 8mm drop, which I don't really go to. I essentially just wanted to try this out. A lot of people are saying great things about it, especially the earlier version of this, that it changed quite significantly. But I just wanted to see what, since I love Salomon so much, you know, what 8mm felt like, maybe for super long, super gnarly type of terrain. And it's, you can see, I'll pull up all three Salomons, you can see they're relatively same lug pattern. I would say the lug height is kind of maybe in between these two, if these were new. So kind of just a moderate lug height, which what you would expect out of what they would consider their Ultra shoe. And there's a lot more overlays on the upper, so a lot more secure, and everything from the outsole performs like the other S Lab Sense shoes that I've talked about. So my experience in this, it's a little bit more curved here. And even with my narrow feet, I developed just a little bit of irritation in here, just on one foot. So, again, that's kind of odd for me because I do have narrow feet, but you can see, you know, that these are just a little bit wider in through here. And so this is just cut a little narrow, that again, just in one foot I started to feel. But to be honest, I was surprised at the 8mm drop, is that it didn't really feel 8mm. I would say it felt more like 6. And the ride was great. You can see how the difference in colors is different in the density of the midsole. So you've got this little white area that's a little bit more cushioned than the rest of the shoe. So again, great for forefoot, midfoot strikers. And again, I was just really surprised in the ride. And if it didn't irritate me here, I might consider it for really long racing. Right now, I would still stick with the Sense shoes that my go-tos. But what I didn't like about this was, with all the extra overlays, it's super hot, super hot. I live in the mountains and we don't get hot temperatures, but my feet were sweating in this, and I didn't like that feeling of getting super hot in my feet. So for me right now, even though this is considered an Ultra shoe, I would pick these as my Ultra shoes. It'll be interesting what happens to the next version of this. They have little wings here. The idea is that as you run longer, your feet expand, so it allows your feet to expand. Again, to be honest, I haven't put enough time into there to really notice what that felt like. But aside from the rubbing, I really enjoyed the ride, and it's a really responsive, for a bigger, clunkier shoe than I'm used to. This is about 300 grams, a lot heavier than the other Salomons. That it actually did ride pretty fast, and I liked it. It's still rather flexible. you know, again, normally when shoes get built up, they get inflexible, and this is still kind of a natural ride, even though it's a little bit more built up. So again, I'm going to continue to dabble with this a little bit and assist you through time if that irritation goes away. But right now, it's a game changer for me, where I'll stick with the others. And right now, not quite sure when I would use this, to be honest. So, all right, so there you have it. That's my 2018 go-to trail shoes, and hope to come back with other reviews of shoes that I like, but don't necessarily use. Maybe they don't work well for me, but in all my experience in shoe manufacturing, spending time in China making shoes, that I know they're good shoes. They're just not right for me, whether it's they're wider and don't accommodate my feet too much. But I've experimented with a lot of shoes, so I want to really kind of get into and help you guys make the best shoe choice for you. So, let's make this start a conversation of what a proper shoe is, what a good shoe is, why natural, flexible, low to the ground shoes are what I consider where you want to gravitate through by training your feet, training your form, and just training your endurance. So, all right, there you have it. Over and out till next time. Thanks for coming, and leave me some questions. See ya.